Yo, leader of these stupid contractors. We are going to make your delivery date even sooner.
Good evening, Nick. You can call me Candace, by the way. I understand that my company is full of contractors that supply parts for you, but it'd be nice if you still referred to me by my actual name, please.
Sure. So you're gonna get those parts to me even sooner, right?
I'm sorry to say this, but I don't believe that we can.
Huh? Are you kidding me right now? You're nothing more than the leader of a small contractors group who does nothing more than make spare parts for larger firms like me. And you're saying you can't get a job done sooner for me?
I'm just telling you the reality of the situation, and asking for those parts sooner isn't going to happen.
Then in order to make things go more quickly over at your factory, I'm going to be sending some of my men over to help. Mike, Brent, and Stuart.
Huh? Are you sure you want to send those three? As far as I'm aware, they're all your top 3 performing workers, and they shouldn't be asked to come help with my team. And haven't they been with you since you started?
What difference does that make to me? I'm sending them to help you out because those 3 ended up stabbing me in the back. So I had them all fired for that.
Don't you think you've gone a bit too far by doing that to them? They might even take action against you for doing something like that.
Well, it's not like I fired them wrongfully. Those 3 men wanted to change their occupations.
They wanted to change? Wait, you have to understand that those 3 are too old now to be changing their lines of work now.
Jeez. No matter how much I try and break things to you, you can't seem to get a grasp of things. The reason I'm giving them up is because I've hired some friends of my own, and I needed to make space on my payroll, and did so by firing those 3 geezers.
You hired your own friends?
I had some friends who went to the same university as me who said they were looking for some work. And they told me they wanted an easy job that paid them well. And so I made it seem as though those 3 old men stabbed me in the back some way, and then had them fired to make room for my buddies.
Are you being serious?
I'm being very serious right now. So let's get back to what I came here to talk about. I don't need those 3 anymore, so you can go ahead and take them on as your employees and get the work I'm asking for done quicker. Then you won't have to keep making excuses for why you can't get any parts to me.
Hold on. I understand that you want this conversation to wrap up pretty quickly here, but I just want to make sure I have this all down correctly. You originally asked me to have my product to you sooner than the date we had agreed on, but I told you that no matter how much harder I pushed my workers, that wouldn't be possible. And so now you're going to give me 3 of your best men because you've hired some of your own friends to take their spots, and want your 3 best men to help my factory get said work done. However, what happens if we're still unable to get that work done at an earlier date?
As long as you take on those 3 old men, I don't care if you continue aiming for our previously discussed target date.
Understood. So that's going to be our agreement then today?
Correct. So what do you think?
Well, actually, I have one last thing to ask. I'm not completely sure what kinds of skills and trades these 3 men I'm about to hire have, but are you really sure you're okay handing them off to me?
Those 3 are able to get any work you ask them to get done. And they're all willing to work overtime whenever asked to make sure any quotas are hit. And as for their skills, you don't even have to worry about that considering they've all worked pretty much every job they've been asked to, and have done them well.
Well, if later down the road you ask for me to give them back to your company, please be aware that I will not.
I'm never asking for them back. They've grown far too old to help me now, and most of their motivation's down the drain now. Go ahead and fire them from your company if you ended up never needing them.
Is that so? Well, if that's what you want me to agree to, then so be it.
I'm not sure how helpful those geezers will be for you, but understand that me getting rid of them will not hurt my productivity in the slightest. So they're all yours now.
Then starting tomorrow, I will be taking on Mike, Brent, and Stuart to start working for me within my company. You don't mind that at all, correct?
Go right ahead. They are already being fired from my company, so you don't need to ask me for permission before doing anything with them.
Is that so? Understood. Thank you, Nick. I'll make sure to put them all to good use.
You sure about that?
Good morning, Mike. Long time no see. This is Candace from Wilds LLC.
My oh my. If it isn't the little girl of Mr. Daniels.
You don't have to keep calling me his little girl anymore. And as of right now, I've been given his company and everything, so you can call me the CEO of Wilds LLC now.
Oh, is that right? He made sure to put his daughter through it all so that she could become the perfect young woman. I can't say the same for the little man in charge of my last job.
Are you talking about that 26-year-old man, Nick, who's taken over your previous company and has started to make a name for himself there?
Right. I'm starting to get a little worried about him, especially after what he's been doing recently.
Well, I've heard all about him.
Huh?
Just yesterday he was talking with me about what he wanted from me, as well as what all happened with you guys. He told me that he had you and 2 other men, Brent and Stuart, fired so that he could hire more of his friends to come work for him.
Is that what happened?
To me, this all seems like unfair termination of your guys' jobs there. And as for me now, I don't mind talking more about what's been happening within that company. So, do you mind telling me a bit more about what's been going on there, and why Nick thinks this is all a good idea?
Sure. As far as I'm aware, he's been trying to work on cutting costs within the company so that he looks better in front of his shareholders. But in order to do that, he began sending a lot of his company's work overseas to be done for cheaper by foreign sources.
He's having everything manufactured overseas?
If the products he was having manufactured outside the US were any good, then I wouldn't be complaining. But it seems he doesn't mind that all the products we get in are trash. Well, anyway, if you want to hear the real reason the 3 of us were fired, it's due to us all complaining about the quality of what the company was bringing in from overseas. And the day after we complained, we were all informed that we've been terminated. At least to keep things as clean as possible with the terminations, he was willing to give us all packages.
I see. So this had nothing to do with him hiring friends to work for him then. Well, have you started to think about what you want to do now?
Well, not yet. I'm not sure what to do now. I've been thinking a lot about my family now. And I've been hoping that they understand that it'll be some time before I can find new work. Not only that, but I'm also getting pretty old now.
Mike? If you don't mind, would you like to come work for me?
Well that's...
And it wouldn't be just you that I'm asking, but Brent and Stuart as well. So what do you think?
Well that is. I'm very thankful for you offering me a position within your company. We don't have too much longer before we all really start to consider retirement. So are you really okay with the 3 of us being hired into your company and working for you?
Well, to tell you the truth, I've actually begun working on creating a new department within my company. And soon I plan to hire in a lot of younger work to begin handling said new department. But I'm going to need a few men with plenty of years of experience in these fields to come in and train them so that they have a better understanding of the demands my company and this industry have. So if I have the 3 of you, with all the knowledge you men hold, join my company and work your last couple of years with me, then I feel that the opening of this new department will go very smoothly for me.
Is that so? Thinking that much about how to implement the 3 of us into your company. Thank you.
Also, having spoken to you about this, do you mind if I go and talk with Brent and Stuart now about the same thing?
Yes, please go tell them.
Then I'll plan to have them both well informed by this time tomorrow. And as for you becoming an employee within my company, I'd like you to tell me before tomorrow what days you'd like off this next year, and if you have any other demands you'd like me to meet.
Understood. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Candace!
Give me back those 3 right now.
Huh? Ah, this must be you, Nick. It's been around a year now since the last time we spoke to one another. Now, what do you mean by me handing those 3 back to you?
Those friends of mine that I hired to work for me ended up being completely useless. I thought for sure that since I knew all of them really well and knew the educations they had, it would work well under my leadership. But they haven't been able to do jack for me, and I can't use them anymore.
Well, that would happen, wouldn't it?
Also, here's something I heard while you've been holding on to these 3. Apparently they have all been doing very well for themselves, and are considered top class in their fields now. I had to tell a lot of my customers why the quality of my products have gone down, and when explaining to them that I've gotten rid of Mike and those other 2, they let me know how stupid I was.
I knew something like this would happen to you. After all, those friends of yours you've told me you hired are actually a bunch of overseas partners that you've been sending all your work off to for cheaper, hoping to save some money, right? Well, it seems that those savings you gained from doing so also ended up ruining the quality of all your products, and now you're left dealing with some very angry customers.
Please, Candace. Give those 3 back to me so that they could fix all of this.
No way.
Why not?
They've made it very clear to me that they don't want to work under you anymore.
Well, I'll make sure to fix things. If you can get them to come back to me, I'll make sure to never rush your production ever again, or ask for anything more out of your company.
Ah, no thank you.
What?
I've just finished implementing a new department into my company that has ventured out into some new technologies. And that department has already been making my company tenfold what all the other departments have made, so if I were to send those 3 back to you, I'd lose my biggest profit maker.
Huh?
Also, on top of that, I told you a year ago when you told me to take them off your hands that if you ever wanted them back, I'd say no. And back then I know for a fact that you agreed with me on that term. So can you please stop trying to break the promise we had?
Candace, please. I'm asking you to please. Please just forget about everything you said to me a year ago and hand those 3 back to me. That's all I want. I'm not joking when I said that right now. My company is in seriously hot water. If I can't get my company back to producing quality goods, then it's all gonna go under.
Well, telling me all of that isn't going to get you anywhere. I'll be going now.
Hold on a second, Candace! Mike, please! I'm asking you to please come back to my company.
If it isn't my old boss, Nick. It's been such a long time now.
I don't need you to sit there talking like I'm some old friend of yours. Now get your butt back here. I'm telling you right now that I'm willing to hire you again.
I'm sure that what you're saying right now is a load of crap, right?
What are you going on about?
I could have sworn you told Candace that you had the 3 of us fired to make room for some of your friends to come and work for you, right? Ah, and that's the other thing. You didn't want to make it seem as though you fired us for that reason. So you also told Candace that we wanted to change careers anyway, right?
That was...
As far as I'm concerned, you wanted to hide your true intentions from everybody by saying that. Just so you didn't have to fear being taken to court for firing us unfairly. Well, no worries, Nick. We had only been with your company since the day it was founded by your father, and had made sure to work there with all loyalty to you guys. But after being fired by you for BS excuses, I think we no longer see you as the man your father was, and that's okay.
Huh?
As of right now, Brent, Stewart, and I no longer have to be worried about what we are going to do, because we have a new boss in charge of us, who is far more caring about the experiences we have as our employees. And, unlike you, she plans to only hold on to us for the next few years, so that when it's time for us to want to retire, she'll give us a very nice package and let us go. Of course, we could come back to you when our time is up here and we've retired. But remember, we no longer feel loyal to you and your company, so I don't think you'll ever get our help when the time comes. Well, that's if your company is even around by that point.
Kenneth, hey, please. How about you get married to me and then start helping my company get back on its feet so that the two of us can become a power couple?
Are you kidding me?
I understand it's not what either of us want right now, but I'd much rather be married to you and keep my company than have it go under and no longer have any money. In other words, I don't have any other choice besides marrying you and getting your help. You don't even have to stay with me after my company is back on its feet. You can divorce me right after that. So please come help me.
Well, listen to this, Nick.
Yes?
I'm already married.
Huh? But your last name? That's the same name as your father's.
Well, that's because my husband ended up taking my family's name. And as of right now, we already have 2 kids, both in elementary school.
What the heck?
So we can be finished here, right?
I'm screwed.
Goodbye now, Nick. In the end, it seems that the second-generation CEO of that company ended up taking the company under. He did make mistakes by thinking he could cut costs by sending workers out to overseas partners to make parts for him, but the thing that really sunk his company was more personal. It's understandable that keeping workers for a very long time will see them costing you more money to keep employed, especially when they're good at their jobs. But Nick made a huge mistake getting rid of 3 of his best men so that he can cut costs, even though they were the ones carrying his company and making sure the quality was right. Anyway, after the loss of his company, he was still in debt to a few banks that he had been taking loans from to try and help his company. And to help start making some money to pay them off, he began working for one of his friends, at the starting level on the floor of the factory. But of course, he never lost that toxic personality of his, and so relations with the other workers within the factory began to sour. And before long, he was out of that job as well. I'm not sure what's happened to Nick since then, but I'm sure he's regretting what he did to his company a while back and will never be able to move on from it. And as for my company, we have been doing really well this year and expect to do even better these coming years thanks to the new department. However, it won't be long before I have to say goodbye to Mike and the guys, as they'll soon be on their way to retiring. Thank you for watching and listening. We hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Also, feel free to leave a comment about what you thought of the story. We look forward to seeing you at the next story.